Zach can already feel it happening.
Go get some water. Like, look, go down
I
that
do not have permission to send my future to the doctor.
Yeah.
Who's going first?
They're not going to hear.
Wow, it is very delayed today.
There's so much power.
Ready for this? Like the check off. Figure. Yeah, get up there. No, so like, okay. Yeah. Well, yeah, everybody, I'm sure. Like, let's just go take them. It's like this thing that everyone. Like everyone that, I mean, for
Check, check.
I cannot like so many things.
It really is.
Hey, Molly.
Hello.
Maybe you're trying to do it. Don't spend so
I did think about wearing a full dress skirt, but
Really, I'm gonna be so nervous for during mine. Is that the mic?
Yes.
I
It's
just
not.
have to let it. Is it? Oh my gosh. What class is it?
Haley, stand up real quickly.
I'm not in math and I couldn't focus the whole time.
well, each is three, but really not.
It's okay, we're gonna be
It's so far behind.
That's probably.
No, like, Kay's over there doing lunch by herself, and I would have been two people doing lunch by themselves, he had come too. I invited him. Zach. Well, I mean, they're eating lunch, like,
Miss Martin, where are you gonna sit?
Hi, it's been a pandemic. Wow.
Oh, Miss Martin, where are you gonna sit? Where am I gonna sit? Yeah. Where do you go? I'm gonna look at you the whole time.
Right.
I'm gonna stare studs in the eyes. Actually, those studs. Alan.
Oh, yeah,
I'm gonna stare at Alex the whole time. Okay, I'm sitting down. Wait, it's real now. It's real. Like, there are people. I know. Down there. What are we? Wait, how long? Do it after.
Okay, we'll do it.
That was pretty good. Okay,
Wait, I want to take a picture of you guys.
there you go. We did the Clutch and Joe earlier. It's like, we're only giving her 20 people? Yeah, there's like no one. little bit of action. Good? Or you? No. I'm manifesting. Why is my dad? Hey, I'm gonna have fun. During what? During mine.
So, when I was a senior, my senior speech was about ballroom dancing with Alex's uncle, and we demonstrated. So it cannot be worse than that. There's no way that you could do something that is that embarrassing. Ballroom dancing. It was opposite.
Every time you take a video,
So just what? If I get nervous, just sort of file that way. At least I'm not bothered.
But if you just do chill out and get out and get off the dance floor.
if I start crying, and they're cute.
Welcome to this week's senior speeches. We have two speeches today, and our first speaker is Bailey Hendricks. Everyone, give her a round of applause.
You should be more nervous. I've had my fair share of bad days. Miss Martin has had her fair share of moody Bailey, and my mom has certainly had her fair share of mommy I'm sad. Their typical response to my bad days is to try and fix whatever it is causing me displeasure. While this can be an appropriate response, most times it is not. I want to be listened to and to be comforted. I don't want someone else trying to solve my problems. That is something I prefer to do on my own. See, Miss Martin and my mom have helped me learn how to cope with my bad days, and I believe this is a valuable skill that everyone should know. So don't sweat the small stuff. Maybe you've heard this phrase before, and maybe you don't believe in it, but I do. Here's why. From an early age, I learned that not everything should be a big deal. Take this story as an example. One day, our moms took Stites, Alan, and I to Zappos, a shoe store. The store was big, and our curious little minds were bored while our moms hunted for shoes. So we decided to play a little game. I took one of Stites' shoes and hid it somewhere in the store. Stites ran around for a while but could not find the shoe. I began to worry because I definitely didn't remember where I had hidden it. So both of us frantically ran around the store looking for the missing shoe. Then this big, scary lady stopped us. She was angry that we were running around and proceeded to bring us promptly back to our moms. I thought my mom would never forgive me for committing the dangerous crime of running around Zappos, but she did. Besides a few weeks of feeling guilty for my actions, this incident had little negative impact. What seemed like a big deal at the time has become a story I look back at and laugh about. While losing Stites' shoe wasn't a big deal, my parents' divorce seemed quite the opposite. I remember being in fourth grade. I was sitting at the kitchen counter doing my everyday math when my parents called my brothers into the kitchen for a family meeting. They told us that they were getting a divorce. I was too young to be able to comprehend what exactly this meant, but the toll that it seemed to have taken on my brothers made me realize how serious this actually was. My dad got his own apartment, and my brothers and I lived with my mom. While at the time this was really scary, it actually helped me better connect with my parents. The individual time that I got to spend with them was more meaningful, and as a result, I have created strong, unique relationships with them both. But my fourth grade self was worried that I would never recover from the separation. However, looking back, I wouldn't change a thing. The 4-year gap between my brothers and me meant that I've gotten 4 years as an only child. I no longer had my two best friends to give me advice or keep me entertained. And saying goodbye to my brothers was devastating because their departure meant all of my parents' attention would be focused on me. I was worried that both my parents would bug me about everything and that they would never leave me alone. While this did, in fact, turn out to be true, my feelings towards the situation dramatically changed. I actually really enjoy the spotlight that I receive when it's just me. Now when my brothers come home, the attention is no longer all mine. So I have to come up with really extravagant ways to get it back, which sometimes includes violence and occasional biting. During the absence of my brothers, I have found new friends who make me feel right at home with their ruthless jokes. Grant Foley and Smith Lewandowski found great pleasure in consistently making fun of my abnormally long fingers. Somehow, they have managed to make my fingers into a grade-wide joke for everyone to partake in. Smith once told me, "Bailey, I literally don't even know how you type with your long fingers." And when Lucas Zimmerman texted in the grade-wide group chat asking, "So which one of you delinquents broke the 25-year-old Yanovich that was in really bad condition?" my long fingers were immediately at home. I'm not gonna lie, I looked up the cost of a finger reduction quite a few times. Seeing as though this was definitely out of budget, I decided to accept the fact that I have some very unique fingers and that is funny. So while at first I did not find this a laughing matter, I soon realized that it was all just fun and games and I shouldn't be so hard on myself. When I, along with my lengthy digits, began the college search, I embarked on the process with great anticipation. I took a week-long trip to North Carolina to visit my brother and tour Elon University. I quickly fell in love with everything about the school and I knew this was the place for me. A month or two later, my mom filled out the net cost calculator and discovered that we couldn't afford it. It's been hard for me to grapple with the fact that I can't go to my dream school. But I sat down with Miss Gahan and we looked at a list of schools in my price range. I found several other colleges that excited me. While I was upset about the circumstances, I knew from my previous experiences that this would be nothing more than a bump in the road. 10 years from now, I'll look back and wonder why I was so upset about my inability to attend Elon. Wherever I end up going to college, I'm going to create new memories, meet lifelong friends, and cultivate passions that guide me to a profession. So from being reprimanded by the Zappos lady, to embracing my long fingers, and everything in between, I have learned, don't take life so seriously. It's good to be able to laugh at yourself. Make mistakes and learn from them. There's always a silver lining, so find it. And lastly, always remember where you hide your friend's shoe. Thank you.
Bailey. Our next speaker is Molly Stevens. Molly.
I wore pull-ups at night until I was 8 years old. For a long time, this was truly my deepest, darkest secret. I was ashamed. At sleepovers, when we would go around sharing stories and talking about our crushes, I would sit back and wonder if it was time to tell my friends that I wasn't who they thought I was. I was leading a double life, and if April me knew, I was telling all of you about the part of myself she so tirelessly worked to keep hidden. She'd never forgive me. But today, I'm here to cash in on my embarrassment. I feel like it's gotta be worth something. I've learned that being honest and open with other people is one of the most important parts of growing up. It's a skill that is too often overlooked and undervalued. Learning to be vulnerable has helped me be more real with those around me, and I hope that today will help me be more real with you. So let's start with one of my personal favorite embarrassing stories. One that has literally kept me up at night. Let me set the scene. We're on a field hockey field in a field hockey game. One of the senior girls from last year is dribbling up the field behind me. Defenders are on her. I'm calling her name. She hits the ball up to me, or so I thought, and we come head to head in a collision to get the ball. She screams, "Molly, literally, what the?" You're welcome to fill in the blank. And that's not even the worst part. When we get to halftime, we're in our little huddle talking about what we need to do better. I assume the instance is forgotten, but another one of the senior girls says we really need to step up our game because she couldn't believe that she literally saw one of our own teammates steal the ball from the other one. I was like, I couldn't agree more, right? I can't imagine that in me. That is one of many embarrassing field hockey stories I have compiled over the years. And if you know anything about me, if you've ever had a class with me, if you're watching this speech right now, you probably know that my face reflects that embarrassment very clearly. My red face is the window to my soul. It not only alerts people to my embarrassment, but also any and all other emotions I might be feeling. The stress of a hard test, the excitement of pizza finish, the fear of riding in the passenger seat of Bailey's car. Over the years, I've tried to hide this part of myself. Most of the time by avoiding situations where I know I'll turn red. But regardless of my attempts to stay hidden, my face does, in fact, grow very red. And people never fail to comment on it. Like earlier last week, a classmate in the lunch line turned to me and said, "I bet your face was really red during that quiz." Or on my run through the park, when a random passerby looked at me and laughed, saying, "Looks like you had a great run." And of course, I can't forget the classic, "Wow, you put on a lot of blush." But regardless of my past hate of my red face, I think it has actually forced me to open up to everyone, despite my unwillingness to do so. And as I have learned to address this part of myself with anyone and everyone who feels the need to let me know so very kindly that my face is so very red, I've also learned that putting myself out there is not as hard as I would think and can actually be really rewarding. For example, in the car, I sing shamelessly. When playing a game of Who's Most Likely To, Alex Brent gave me the card most likely to sing when they shouldn't. And yeah, I'm still hurt by that one, but he's right. I'm not a great singer. But in the car, I don't mind belting when I'm with my friends, and especially when I'm with someone who might feel uncomfortable singing with me. Because who doesn't love singing in the car? It's liberating. But I know some people get nervous, and so I sacrifice my dignity so that they can sing too. But this sacrifice of dignity often is all in our heads. Being embarrassed is a choice. For a while, my strategy for minimizing the effects of my red face was to just not get embarrassed anymore. I mean, seriously, I thought it was a foolproof plan, and I still kind of think it is. Yes, embarrassment is such an important part of life. Having stories to look back on and retell and laugh about, to cringe about, to cry about, I think those moments are so important because they remind you that you're human and you mess up and you make mistakes. And if nothing else, embarrassing moments make you a lot more interesting, a lot more fun to be around. And I'm glad this is now the message I tell myself in these situations. For a long time, I put this pressure on myself to be perfect. My freshman year of high school, I was wound so tight that one wrong move and I seriously might have exploded. At collegiate, I'm learning how to be myself and be okay with my inevitable failures and rejections. And the most important things I've learned this year is that we're all going through something difficult. Everyone. And while I might feel caught up in what's going on in my life, I also have to recognize that people are fighting their own battles that are just as hard. So be kind to other people, because you never know how much that kindness might mean to them. And most of all, be kind to yourself. You're trying so hard, and not to get existential here, but nothing really matters. You're going to be all right. When you show other people who you are, that you're not perfect, that you're human, you're opening yourself up to making friends, and you're beginning to feel comfortable with yourself. So learn to treat yourself with kindness, not despite your imperfections, but because of them.